Hey guys, it's Nate here again, and I'm back with our fourth video in our Chrome DevTools Quick Tips series. Today we're going to learn about the Network tab. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is open up Chrome DevTools, so we'll do that by right-clicking and clicking the Inspect button. Let's minimize this a bit, and let's bring up the Network tab. Alright. So to my left, I have a single page application that lets you search for active NBA players and view their stats in a modal. To the right, you do see the Network tab. I'm only going to show you how to use some of the more relevant components as far as programming and development is concerned, as well as testing backend APIs. To start, there is a preserve log checkbox, which allows you to preserve the history of network traffic throughout the session of having this network tab open, regardless of how many times you refresh your page. Disable cache when enabled. This will basically make it so that any cookies or data added to local storage or cached images don't save during a session. And then right here we have a drop-down menu that can simulate different types of latency or network traffic, such as like a very fast network or slow network, so that developers can stress test certain application functions in different environments. And also to the right, this little Wi-Fi logo, it essentially lets you do the same thing but with a little more options as far as throttling the network is concerned. Also, another cool feature here is the HAR file feature, which saves all network traffic that occurs during a session to a file, so that way if you're in the midst of investigating a particular bug that is a little tricky to solve, you can export an HAR file for future reference when investigating an issue. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to refresh this page, and as you can see, our network history list here is populated with content. First thing is the index.html that's served to the web browser, along with JavaScript files and any other dependencies. In this little demonstration, I'm using MobX for state management. And let me close out of here, and let's look for a player. LeBron James is a pretty popular one, so we'll look him up, and we see that he comes up in our list, and we click here and we get all of his stats for the current season, 2023. And to the right, we see that 2 more requests have populated here. You can also filter the type of request that is populated by JavaScript files, CSS, a bunch of different options, but for this demonstration we're going to stick with fetch XHR, as these particular requests will be the most important when you're testing out APIs. And so in this app I'm leveraging the Ball Don't Lie API. It's free tier that allows you to search for NBA statistical data for individual players and teams. And if we click the requests, we're met with this menu with different columns. We get the headers column, and this will show you all the header data for the particular request that was made. So when we search for LeBron, we made a GET request, we see its status code, along with other headers showing like different policies along with different entities here. And so this will be a pretty useful place to go to when you're trying to implement the front end interface to connect to or use REST API on the back end. And then we also have the payload, which is essentially the query parameters or body parameters that get sent on a request. And we see here LeBron James was sent. And then preview is just the preview of the data response that we get from the server. So we see here, I get LeBron's information, his height, ID, full name, position, team, along with this team information here, as well as the response, which this tab gives you kind of the full breakdown of everything that gets sent from the server as is. It's not the easiest to view as far as like debugging is concerned, so this little preview lets you like collapse JSONs and gives you a bit more readability in that regard. And then we have initiator, which breaks down the call stack on the front end of the different functions that are called leading up to this request being sent. And then the timing, which gives you a more detailed time breakdown of different events that are taking place by milliseconds throughout the duration of this request. And also up here you do get like a little timeline where you can partition the elapsed time and capture different requests. And so if you do this, you can adjust the timeline and see what requests went through at that particular point in time. And now let's check out the season average endpoint that we use to get the statistical data for the season for LeBron here. And very similar to what we viewed before, our payload, which was LeBron's player ID for the Ball Don't Lie API, as well as the preview of his season stats. And we got all that information here. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how you'd use the network tab as far as debugging APIs is concerned. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.